Have you ever noticed that before your feet even touch the floor in the morning, your mind has already traveled miles away? Maybe today, just like every other day, you opened your eyes and the very first thing your hand reached for was your phone. A few notifications, one message, one headline, one social media post, and within seconds your brain was no longer inside your bedroom. It was replaying yesterday's conversation, worrying about today's responsibilities, imagining tomorrow's problems, remembering someone's harsh words, comparing your life with someone else's success, and creating dozens of imaginary situations that haven't even happened yet. What's strange is that you probably didn't even notice it. Your body was standing in one place, but your attention had already disappeared. This happens to millions of people every single morning. We wake up, but our mind never truly does. Instead of living the present moment, we immediately begin living inside memories, predictions, fears, and expectations. But why? Why does the human brain naturally drift away from the present? Why is it so difficult to simply exist in this moment? And more importantly, can we train our brain to return? Before we answer those questions, I want you to try something with me. Don't skip ahead. Don't pause the video. Just follow these simple steps exactly as I say them. Right now, slowly look around you and find 5 different things you can see. Take your time. Really notice them. Don't just glance at them. Observe their shape, their color, their size, their texture. Now gently touch 4 different objects around you. Feel their temperature. Are they rough, smooth, soft, hard? Now become completely silent and listen for 3 different sounds. Maybe you can hear a fan. Maybe distant traffic. Maybe birds outside your window. Maybe even your own breathing. Now notice 2 different smells around you. Perhaps the smell of coffee, fresh air, your room, or maybe nothing at all. Finally, take 1 long, slow, deep breath. Hold it for a moment, and slowly let it go. Now stop, just for a second. Did something change? Maybe only a little. Maybe your thoughts became quieter. Maybe the pressure inside your head reduced. Maybe you suddenly became aware of the room you were sitting in. Maybe nothing dramatic happened. But for a brief moment, your attention came back to reality. And here's something fascinating. That wasn't magic. It wasn't positive thinking. It wasn't motivation. It wasn't spirituality. It was biology. Inside your brain lives a tiny almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's ancient alarm system. Its only job is survival. Thousands of years ago, this part of the brain kept our ancestors alive by constantly scanning the environment for danger. A strange sound in the bushes could mean a predator. A sudden movement could mean death. Back then, an overactive alarm system actually increased your chances of survival. The problem is, your brain still uses that same ancient survival system today. Except now, the dangers aren't wild animals. They're unread emails, deadlines, bills, social rejection, embarrassing memories, and imagined future disasters. Your amygdala doesn't always know the difference between a real tiger and an anxious thought. That's why a simple notification can make your heart race. That's why remembering one painful conversation can completely change your mood. That's why your body sometimes reacts before logic even has a chance to speak. But something incredible happens the moment you intentionally focus on your senses. As you observe what you can see, hear, touch, smell, and feel, another part of your brain slowly begins taking control. It's called the prefrontal cortex. This is the part responsible for reasoning, decision-making, emotional regulation, self-control, and attention. In simple words, it helps you come back online. Instead of your survival brain controlling you, your thinking brain starts leading again. This is exactly why psychologists around the world use something called grounding techniques. These exercises are often used during moments of anxiety, panic attacks, emotional overwhelm, and intense stress. They don't erase your problems. They simply reconnect you with the present moment. They remind your nervous system that, at least right now, in this exact second, you are safe. And sometimes that's all your brain needs to begin calming itself. But here's the question almost nobody asks. If 1 minute of grounding can calm your mind, then why doesn't that calmness last forever? Why do anxious thoughts return? Why does overthinking come back? Why does fear quietly rebuild itself only hours later? The answer takes us much deeper than most people realize. And understanding it might completely change the way you see your own mind. The answer is simple. Grounding is like pressing the pause button, but it doesn't rewrite the program that's been running inside your mind for years. Imagine your mind as a forest. Every thought you repeat is like walking the same path again and again. At first, the grass barely bends. But after months, after years, that tiny path becomes a deep trail. Your brain works in exactly the same way. Every time you react with fear, every time you expect rejection, every time you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, the neural pathway responsible for that belief becomes stronger. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change according to repeated experiences. The good news is that this process created your old patterns. The even better news is that it can create new ones too. But here's the catch. 1 minute of calm cannot erase 10 years of conditioning. If someone has spent years believing they are not lovable, one breathing exercise won't suddenly convince their brain otherwise. If someone grew up in an environment where they constantly felt unsafe, their nervous system learned to stay on high alert. Even when the danger disappears, the body keeps acting as if it's still there. That's why some people feel anxious even in peaceful situations. Their brain isn't reacting to the present. It's reacting to the past. In psychology, this is called an emotional memory. The event may be over, but the nervous system still remembers it. Have you ever noticed how one smell can suddenly remind you of childhood? Or how one song can instantly bring back an old relationship? That's because the brain stores experiences together with emotions. It doesn't simply remember facts, it remembers how those moments felt. And sometimes, without realizing it, those old emotional memories quietly shape today's decisions. Maybe you avoid opportunities because failure once hurt you. Maybe you struggle to trust because someone betrayed you years ago. Maybe you constantly seek approval because deep inside, you're still trying to earn the love you once felt was missing. None of these reactions happen because you're weak. They happen because your brain learned to survive in the only way it knew. And survival habits are incredibly difficult to break. This is exactly where therapy becomes different from quick relaxation techniques. Therapy isn't about making you feel calm for one afternoon. It's about helping your brain build entirely new pathways. Think of it like creating a new trail through that forest. First, it's difficult. The old path feels easier because you've walked it thousands of times. But every time you choose a healthier response, every time you question an old belief instead of automatically believing it, every time you stay present instead of escaping into fear, the new path becomes a little stronger. Slowly, your brain begins to understand that it doesn't have to react the old way anymore. This isn't overnight change. It's repetition. It's patience. It's practice. Over weeks and months, your nervous system learns something it may never have learned before. That safety is possible. That uncertainty isn't always danger. That difficult emotions can be felt without controlling your life. Eventually, calm stops being something you chase. It becomes something you carry within you. So the next time your thoughts begin racing the moment you wake up, don't ask yourself, how do I stop thinking? Ask a better question. What is my brain trying to protect me from? That single question shifts you from fighting your mind to understanding it. And understanding is where real healing begins. If you tried the exercise in this video and noticed even the smallest difference, even 5 seconds of quiet, then your brain has already shown you something important. It is capable of change. The human mind is far more adaptable than most people realize. The patterns you learned can be unlearned. The fears you carry can become lighter. The constant noise inside your head doesn't have to be your permanent reality. Real change doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in hundreds of small moments of awareness, repeated over time. So before you leave, I want you to do one last thing. Close your eyes for just one deep breath and ask yourself, when was the last time I was truly present? Write your answer in the comments using just 2 words, I noticed. And if you enjoy exploring psychology, neuroscience, and the hidden patterns that shape human behavior, subscribe, because this is only the beginning of understanding the most fascinating mystery you'll ever study, your own mind.